All right, so good evening. I'm going to start with today's class. I was also taking advantage of the time. I believe that, well, no one is going to join today, but I'm going to give the class just some clarifications about Pearson because today we have to start officially speaking with unit number 3. All right, so the first thing that it's important to know is that yesterday I couldn't answer to that message, all right, at that time, and it was not possible for me to change that date because when you change the due date, all right, it only gives you the option by changing that from 30 minutes or 15 minutes, I believe. It's 30 minutes. Okay, so for example, look, I'm going to go here. Imagine that I want to change what I just assigned. Okay, here it is. So if I want to change this and I go here I can only select these two. All right. And also I read that, well, when it was too late and it's not possible to reassign after it's done. I mean, at that time I cannot make any changes. So what I did now, all right, is that, well, the score is there, but I reassigned unit 1 because I saw that it was unit 1 that you couldn't complete. So unit 1 has been reassigned. All right, as you can see here, this is part of, no, this is even unit 2, but unit 1 should be here because this is something you completed. Now let me show you. Okay, here you go. This is unit 1. So we are on 10th. I gave you until the 12th. That's Sunday. Okay, so unit 1 is the one that you couldn't complete, so you have until Sunday to complete that unit. All right, it's important to try to make it on time. Well, this time, why? Because we're finishing everything next week. All right, and after we finish, after the last day we're going to have, I have to send all your scores, right, from all the courses, including, of course, this last course. So it's important to finish on time because I'm not going to be able to reassign after the final day that we're going to have. That final day is going to be the final day for, well, we're going to have one extra day to that one. But that extra day, if we take a look, we are going to be until Wednesday, right? Remember, Wednesday we have our presentation, oral presentation as well. So Thursday is going to be our last day, or what, the last day for you to complete everything. It means unit 4 plus the final exam. All right, and moving these things perhaps are going to be not so good in terms of organizing those units and the assignments. But again, unit 1 then is here. We have until Sunday, and I also already assigned unit 3, and you have until Tuesday to complete that one. Okay, so you have a lot of time. You have until Tuesday to complete unit 3 plus the quiz. And on Monday, no, actually on Tuesday, I'm going to assign unit 4, and it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, as I said. All right, so with that, we are done with the 4 units, and we are finishing absolutely everything. All right, so that's the first clarification. Again, in short, let's remember the 3 important dates. Or, well, we have a couple more, I think. The first one is that you have until this Sunday, the 12th, to finish unit 1, right? I'm reassigning that unit. Then you have until Tuesday, right? That will be the 14th, if I'm not wrong. Tuesday to complete and to finish everything related to unit 3 that we are starting today, and we have until Monday, but you have that extra day, right? That is Tuesday, yes. And remember that on Tuesday also I'm going to assign unit 4, the last unit plus the final exam, and you're going to have until Thursday to finish. Okay, so those are important dates to remember. Those are the due dates that we have. And it's going to be important to take that into account because, again, it's going to be very, very hard to reassign without a coordination's permission. And it's better to avoid that. All right. But that's it. Again, Well, you're going to be watching the class, so you are going to let me know if you have any questions, but I believe that it's going to be clear at least until the next week activities. Remember that we have on Monday the writing exercise. You have to write the essay with the structure related to one of the TOEFL's tasks, and we have to prepare also the oral presentation for Wednesday next week. But that's it. It means that we are done with a Pearson. All right. Just in case, please, you're going to let me know. Again, here you should be able to see the assignments for Unit 1 plus the last assignments for Unit 3. And here you have one extra quiz, that is the quiz for Unit 3. So that's it. We can go now to our next lesson. All right, so today I'm going to cover this. I'm going to see how many of these lessons we get to cover. I'm also trying to cover more, as I told you. I try to cover more because as we're going to have extra activities that are going to be very important for Monday and Wednesday, I want to use more time for those activities and then give you a lot of review for writing. Okay, remember that it's something, well, that you need to be sure of. You need to understand very well all the rules that you are going to be using, why you're using commas, why you're using some words, conjugations, and the structure of your ideas in general. All right, that's important again for you to be performing good in those tests, right, in the international tests. But let's go then to this topic. This is future continuous, right? You know that we have present, perfect, simple, and the present continuous. The present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous, the simple present and the present continuous, the simple past and the past continuous. We have the past perfect and the past perfect continuous, right? So all tenses have continuous forms. So the future is no exception. This is a question that can guide this logic, right? So what will you be doing tomorrow between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m.? All right. Now, it's easy. Again, what is the idea of ing in continuous tenses? It shows you something that it's in progress. Now, it was in progress in the past, it was in progress, or it's in progress in present. But this one, of course, right, obviously, is something in progress in the future, right? So what will you be doing? It means what action will be in progress tomorrow between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m., right? Because if it's continuous, it means that it's related to a period of time. We don't know perhaps when it started. At least when you give the information, it's not something that you mention. And we don't know when it will finish, but we know that it will be happening, right? So you can say, I will be working between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. I will be traveling, right? If you are going to be on that bus or on the train or on the plane, and you're going to be in the middle of that trip, then you can say that you're going to be traveling, right? Or you will be traveling. Or you will be studying, you will be playing soccer, you will be watching a movie, right? There are plenty of things that you will be doing or that you could be doing, right? That's also modal with continuous. But here we're going to focus on will be doing, will be going, will be studying, will be eating, will be cleaning, right? Any action that is going to be in progress in the future. So for example, when do you use the future continuous? Again, when something is going to be in progress in the future, so you cannot do something else. For example, could I call you at 3 a.m.? Right? Of course, it's very, very likely that most people would say no, right? You can't. Why? It's obvious, right? Because of course, not always, but you will be sleeping, right? You cannot call me at 3 a.m. because I will be sleeping, usually from Monday to Friday, right? If it's Saturday, perhaps you can say, I will be dancing, right? Or I will be partying, right? So it depends on the activity, but the idea is that you are showing that an action in progress is going to be taking place in the future, and you're informing about that. And 3 a.m. is just a part of that action, right? So if we get to, if we get to write some ideas, I'm going to write something here, right? So here, everything here is future, right? So again, I'm going to try to do something. Okay, so this is this, and this is this. All right, and I'm going to set some marks here. So again, I know that it's clear, but just in case, to be sure, and if this is even clear, well, we're not going to have problems with other tenses, right? So here is the present. We don't have contact with that. And this is the future, right? So this is the future. Now, we don't know, right? For example, you can say, I will be sleeping at that time, right? It doesn't mean that you started at 3 a.m., right? Of course, perhaps you started at 10 p.m. and you went to bed, right? Of course, it's 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. in this case, right? And you're sleeping. It's 3 a.m. and you're still sleeping, right? It's 6 a.m. and you're still sleeping, right? So all this is the future continuous, right? But we don't know. We don't know because we're not mentioning when you started to sleep and when you're going to wake up. But we know that in this specific time, well, this action is going to be happening or will be happening, right? I will be sleeping at 3 a.m. Okay, so again, if this is clear, then absolutely everything with the future continuous, it is, all right? So, or is, it means that again, it's just as simple as that. So, when the future action you want to mention will be in progress at a specific time in the future continuous can be used, right? For example, right, again, it's very common to say something that you won't be able to do in the future because something else will be taking place. So, sorry, I can't. I'll be taking a test tomorrow at that time. Okay, so this action will be in progress at a specific time in the future, but it started before and it will continue, right? Very likely it's going to be the case. Don't call me that time. I'll be meeting with management to solve the problem, right? So you will be meeting. It means there's going to be an encounter with someone or with a group of people, and that's why you cannot call. All right, very simple, right? Actions that will be taking place, that will be happening. And again, the structure is very, very easy to get because it's just will with what? With be. Remember that in a continuous form, you always use be. I am going, be, present continuous. I was going, be, past, being past, right? Past continuous. I have been studying, been the past participle of be, but you have be in the present perfect continuous. I had been running, been is be in the past perfect continuous also. And also here, I will be studying. You have be. Okay, so all continuous tenses, present continuous, past continuous, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, and future continuous, and you have the future perfect and the future perfect continuous. All of those need you to use be. And of course, if you have a model, you need be in the base form. If you don't have a model, you have to conjugate. In present is am, are. In past was, were. In the perfect tenses, the past participle been, right? So you have to be careful how you are going to be using be. So easy, right? I will be studying at that time. I won't be traveling, right, as I expected. So if you want to say something again that you are not going to be doing, that you will not be doing, then use negative, right? Perhaps in some contexts, perhaps in some, yes, in certain circumstances, it's not going to be the best option to use it in negative, but it's something that you can do. And questions, right? Will you be studying tomorrow at 3 p.m.? Will you be traveling, I don't know, right? Tomorrow, yes, tomorrow morning could be. And it can be also with, you don't have here, but you know that you can add WH questions, right? What will you be doing, I don't know, right, at 7 o'clock? When will you be dancing, as you told me? All right, so again, you have options. You have a lot of options to use the future continuous, and it's as simple as that. Now, besides will, if you realized, I was also mentioning examples with be going to. And be going to needs this structure, right? So you can say, for example, I will be studying tomorrow at 8 o'clock, or I am going to be studying tomorrow at 8 o'clock, right? So I will be studying, I'm going to be studying. Both of them show future continuous. Okay, so it's up to you. So it says be going to can also be used for future continuous. The meaning will be the same, more related to very specific plans, right? You know when to use be going to. So the same in affirmative, negative, and in questions. So now we get to, well, actually we get to see first the 3 examples. So it says, tomorrow at 3 p.m., I am going to be having a serious conversation with my partner. Right? This action will be happening, is going to be happening tomorrow at 3 p.m. It's not the starting, it's not the end. It's just a part of that time in which this action will be happening, or in this case, is going to be happening. She is going to be singing at home this Saturday night. So don't call her, right? So this is the action that she is going to be doing in this period of time. So don't try to contact her, right? She won't be able to answer because she's going to be doing something at that time and that day, right? And finally, what are you going to be doing tomorrow at 6? Right? The question that I mentioned before. It can be yes, no question. It can be information question. Now, actually, with a future continuous, that's it. But of course, we need to remember about action verbs. But before that, let's again review very quickly. Remember, future continuous is related to actions taking place or in progress in the future. You have 2 options. You can use will, or you can use be going to. In both cases, as you can see, you need be, right? I am going to be working. She is not going to be paying attention. And here, you will not be studying. She will be buying, and so on and so forth. Okay, so be. You cannot omit be when you are using continuous tenses. All right, so that's it. Now, the next part to be is the present participle, which is the verb with ing. Those are, remember, if you remember the explanation from previous classes, those are verbs that can be used or that are action verbs. That's better. And remember that action verbs, they can be used in continuous forms, tenses. But if it's a non-action verb, if it's a stative verb, you cannot use continuous tenses, right? For example, here, know is very common and it's more of a stative verb, right? I know, I don't know, I know you, I don't know you, right? But you don't say, I'm not knowing you, or she's not knowing him, or she will be knowing that place or that situation, right? So you know or you don't know. You will know or you will not know. That's more common. But run, write, and read, those are action verbs, right? So one more time, know is like a stative verb, a non-action verb, but run, write, and read are action verbs, right? Because you can not only see or perceive that action, because it's obviously movement, right? Something that is an action. To know is not an action, right? It's a state of mind. It's something that you know. It's not an action. But run is an action, and also physical action is something that you see and you know that includes, or well, yes, it involves movement. It involves action. Write the same, read the same. So you can say, I will be running, correct. I will be writing, correct. I will be reading, correct. But it's going to be a little bit weird if you say, I will be knowing, right? So, but remember some of the verbs, we have a list. If you remember the list, some of the verbs can be action verbs and stative verbs at the same time. And again, this is not new. This is just a reminder, Andrew, so that you can practice with these ideas, so that you can use this information. So B, remember, to be a stative, it needs to be a state. So is what you are. So he's immature means that he is that. All right, he is immature. That it represents what he is. But when it's action, be means to act or to behave in a certain way, right? He's being immature, you mean that he's not what he is, or it is not what he is. It is more of a characteristic or a way in which he's behaving at that specific time. All right, that's the first one. So again, he is immune, something that you cannot say, for example, with action. You cannot say he is being Luis, right? He's being Luis because Luis is a name, so you are that name. Age also, right? He's being 12. No, you say I'm 12, or I'm 20, or I'm 30, I'm 15, I'm 17, I'm 21, right? Any age that, of course, comes to your mind is going to be used with be as a stative. You don't say he's being 20, he's being 30, and so on. Have, remember that has more than one meaning. When it means possession, is a stative, right? For example, I have a car. You never say, I'm having a car. He's having a dog, right? That's not logic in according to, of course, the grammatical or grammar rules that we have. We don't use the action form of have when it's possession, right? But when it means experience something or eating or drinking something, then you can use have with the continuous form. So for example, I'm having breakfast. It doesn't mean that you possess breakfast, right? It means that you are eating breakfast. When you say he's having fun, you don't say that he's possessing that, right? That he owns that. No, it's just like a description of what he or this person is experiencing, right? That's very important. So those are two. Let's take a look at more. See, again, when it means perception with your eyes, understanding is stative. So I see some birds, I see what you mean. But when it's to meet or to have a relationship with, it's action. So I'll be seeing the doctor tomorrow. It means I'll be meeting, right? Because you're going to have an encounter. So it's that, right? It's not perception with your eyes. It's not that you are going to go there and you're going to use your eyes to see the doctor, right? No, that's not the meaning here. It means that you have an appointment and you're going to see the doctor, right? They've been seeing each other for a month. It means to date. It could be date. When you date someone, right? You're going out with someone. You are getting to know each other because in the future you want to be a couple. You want to be in a relationship. Then you can say that you are seeing someone. All right. Then look the same. If it's appearance, all right. If it's appearance, then it's stative. So you can say that cake looks delicious. But if it's action, I mean, if the meaning is to, well, actually, if the meaning is different, one of these phrasal verbs, for example, to search for something, to use your eyes, all right, but to observe something in this case, not to see, to observe, or to take care, these are just some examples. It has and it can have an action meaning. All right, sorry. So, for example, he's looking at the computer screen, right? He's observing that. She's looking for a job. It means that she's searching for a job, that she's seeking a job. And they are looking after my dog for the weekend. It means they are taking care of your dog for the weekend. And you can use those as action verbs. Then smell and taste. These are interesting ones because the difference is in terms of being a person that does one action or being an object or also a person that produces something, right? For example, smell and taste are going to be stative verbs if this is a characteristic that you possess, a quality. For example, the quality of the bar is that it smells of smoke, right? The bar is not smelling, right? Smoke. It's not smelling anything. No, it smells of smoke. That's the well, let's call it. How can we call this? Yes, that's the. Again, I don't know how to name this quality. Yes, it's not just the production because it's not like a production of something, right? But if you remember, it's the idea is similar to when you use adjectives with ed and an ing, right? If you remember that difference, with ed is something that you feel, and ing is something that you produce, right? And here in this case, if it's something that you produce, you're going to consider that as stative, right? The bar smells of smoke. It means that that's the smell that the bar is producing. If you say this meat tastes like chicken, then you say again that that's the well, the tasting, right, that it is producing as well. But that's passive. If you realize that's passive because you're not doing anything, you're just representing something. You are part of a quality that you have, a characteristic that you have, or that an object has. However, if you want to use this as action verbs, you have to use it with people doing the action of using their senses to do that or to perform that action. For example, to smell, what you have to do to smell as an action, you have to use your nose, right? So if you use your nose and you smell something, then you can use action, the action form of this verb, because it is an action. All right, it is an action. So he's smelling the cookies. He's using his nose to smell the cookies. She's tasting the soup to see if it needs more salt. Then again, she's using her tongue, her mouth in general, to taste, right? To say, yes, I think that it needs more salt. Okay, so again, what is the difference? Stated means that it's a quality, a characteristic that usually objects, but also people have, right? You can say, that guy smells, right? Or that girl smells very good, right? That's the odor, that's well, the thing that it's producing, the sensation that it produces, right, to your nose when you smell that person. So, as you can see again, it's obvious, right? It's not only with objects, as I mentioned, it's also with people. But when you use your senses to feel that production, that smelling, that tasting, then you use ing, right? Or you can use it. I mean, it's not obligatory. It's just that you can do it. Then you have think and feel, right? So to think, to feel, they can be, or they can have different meanings. And again, those meanings are going to determine whether they are going to be used as a stative verbs or action verbs. So when talking about your opinion, right, something close to believe. So when think and feel are like believe, your opinion, it is stative, right? I think that's a great idea. You don't say, I'm thinking that's a great idea. No, I think, like, I believe that's a great idea. I feel that this is not the best use of our time. So you're the same. I believe that, I think that, but this is not used as action, as an action tense. So you don't say, I'm feeling that this is not the best use of time. No, I feel or I don't feel. And that's it. And if you want to use it as action, the meaning has to be related to using your mind or experiencing emotions or health issues. For example, we are thinking about moving to another city. This is a process in your mind. This is action. And I've been feeling, sorry, I cannot see that one. Okay, unusually tired lately. So again, this is how you have been feeling. And it's related to experiencing emotions or health issues. So perhaps this is related to feeling good or not feeling good. All right, and this is the last one. This is weight, all right, weight and a measure. So stative, again, you can relate this to smell and taste. When you don't do any action, you are just representing, describing the quality of something, then you use the stative form. It means you don't use ing. The suitcase weighs 20 pounds. And that's the characteristic that it has. The surfboard measures 2 meters by 55 centimeters. And again, you are just describing objects in this case. But if you're not describing or giving the quality to something in specific, then you can use the action, the action form of these two verbs. It says, when a person performs the action of weighing or measuring something, right? So the suitcase weighs 20 pounds. And how do you know? Because you have to weigh. Weight can be an action that is performed by someone, right? So you are weighing the suitcase to see how much it weighs, right? And how do you know that the surfboard measures 2 meters by 55 centimeters? Because you had to measure the surfboard, right? So to measure is to use a specific tool to see how many meters, how many centimeters, how many feet, right? How many feet, how many inches something measures, right? For example, the butcher is weighing the meat on the scale, right? Is doing the action of weighing to see what is the width of the meat that he is selling. The architects were measuring the distance between the pillars, right? So they are using tools to measure the distance. And they are going to say that the pillars, for example, measure a specific right number. In meters, very likely, of course, in meters, it's pillars. But again, it can be anything you want. And that's it. All right, it's very important to get that idea. This was a review, but it is important to, again, get those ideas, different meanings from verbs, to know when to use them in the continuous form, to know when to use them in the simple form only. That is one lesson. The time that we have left is a time that I'm going to use to work, not everything perhaps, but the introduction or a part for the next lesson. Okay, so give me please 1 minute and we're going to start with this one. All right, so let's cover this, at least an introduction, because again, we're very well working with the lessons. We have just, besides this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, just 4 more to go. And that's well, all right, that's something that we're going to finish, if I'm not wrong, on Tuesday. But again, that's why we have something else prepared, because we have an activity, right? We have our oral presentation, and we also have something on Monday. So again, by doing this, we are having extra time to work on extra activities in order not to work only with these contents. Okay, I would like to work with more activities, but because of the time, it's very reduced. We cannot do anything else but covering this and making sure that this is clear. All right, and this, I'm sure you're going to remember, we already covered this lesson, adjective clauses or relative clauses as well. Now, how do you join these two sentences, right? We know the answer, you already did it. You can use which or who, or in general, you can use that, right? So that's the house that is very expensive, or if you want to be more formal, that's the house which is very expensive. Same here. He listened to the song, right, which is in French and Spanish, or that is in French and Spanish. So adjective or relative clauses, it says when you want to identify nouns, that's what you call it, adjectives, all right? Use an adjective or relative clause. Why an adjective? Because it's describing something. It's giving information about someone or something. So he's the man, but what man? Right? Which one? He's the man who was in the party last night. So the man, right? This person is being described by this adjective clause. A clause is, right, this composition, kind of a complete idea could be, or sometimes it depends on it depends on another clause to be complete, right? But this is a clause. All this set of words, who was in the party last night, is a clause. And this clause, this adjective, is describing the man. Here, what is describing the house? This clause, which is very big. So we know about the man that he was in the party last night, and we know about the house that it is very big, right? So again, that's why it's called adjective clause, because it describes, it gives characteristics to specific people or to specific objects. So you know that with which you have to use objects, ideas, entities, institutions, places, events, animals, etc. I like the car, they are driving the car. I like the car which they are driving. Right? So that is with which. Then you have who. Easy. What's the difference? That it works with people. Subject, in this case, it has to be the subject of the description. All right? So I saw the person. What do we know about the person? The person studied with us last month. So let's give that description. Right? So you say, I saw the person. What is the adjective? What describes this person who studied with us last month? Right? And that's, again, very simple. Let's go to the next part. Whom is also for people, but when the person you are talking about is receiving the action. Right? Remember that you are talking about someone here. Okay, so here you're talking about what happened. Okay, here. You're talking about the person. In the next part, is the person doing or receiving the action? Is doing, right? Who studied with us last month? The person, right? The person did. So it's the object, so it's who. But if you ask that question with who in the next one, it says she's looking for the person. They are talking about the person. So again, we're describing the person, but in the next part, who is performing this action? Who is talking? Not the person, right? The person is not talking. They are talking about the person. So it's receiving the action. So when it receives the action, you don't say who. You can, but what is the most formal way to express that adjective clause? With whom, right? So who were talking about the person? They were, right? So it's they. So you have another subject. She's looking for the person whom they were, or they are, in this case. I'm taking this in past, but it's present, talking about. All right, so again, this is perhaps one of the hardest parts, and not for everybody, of course, but remember, please, the difference between who, the person that you're talking about, right, the person that you're using in your idea is doing the action. But if you use whom, you are saying that that person is not doing the action in the next part in the description, is receiving the action, and someone else, or well, other people are the the performance of the action. That's why you say whom in this case. And whose is for objects, for possession in general, and it can be people, animals, or well, objects themselves. So that's the dog. What do we know about the dog? When the information you want to give about this object, this person, or this animal, when the information you are giving or you want to give is possession, for example, the paw of the dog's paw, then you use who. That's the dog whose paw is hurt, right? And again, it's just as clear as that. I believe, again, the only ones that can create a little bit of confusion are who and whom. But again, as you are seeing, it's just knowing, easy to know if after who or if after the adjective clause you want to build up, right? You have a verb, then you have to use who. If you have a subject and then a verb, then you have to use whom. Again, so you don't need to memorize any ideas, just memorize that logic, and that's it. Now, we have more examples. The information, it says, well, it's he saw the person. What's the information that we have about that person? Is that the person was in the party. So the complete idea is he saw the person who was in the party. The same. This is the difference between who and whom, right? So it's important that you pay attention or you understand this part. So he saw the person, the same idea. But if you realize in the information, here it's the subject, that's why we use who, and we have a verb here. Easy. Here, the same idea, but in the information, that person is receiving the action. That's why we have whom, and we have another subject before the verb, so it has to be whom. So it says, he saw the person whom Maria was in a relationship with, right? And it's like, ella vio a la persona con quien María tuvo una relación, right? So that's formal. That's something that, again, it's important when you're organizing your ideas, when you are communicating something in specific. So, same here, right? Peter was talking, more examples for whom and who, because again, it's the more, yes, it's the most complicated among those three. Peter was talking about the person, who, the subject, that person that we're talking about, graduated from the school. So Peter was talking about the person who graduated from school, because that's the person who did that action. But object, once again, here we have a new example. It says, a dog barked at the person. So Peter was talking about the person whom a dog barked at. All right, so again, it's like saying, Peter estaba hablando acerca de la persona a quien, right, whom, a quien el perro ladró, o un perro ladró. So again, I'm giving those extra things in Spanish just to be sure that it is clear. More examples with whose. Just remember that, again, if you want to use whose, you have to give possession for that person you're talking about or for that object you're talking about. He was in touch with the person, that person's office got closed, sorry. He was in touch with the person whose possession office got closed. He repaired the table. The table's leg was broken. So, possession. He repaired the table whose, the word, leg, the possession, was broken. All right, so again, if you don't have this interaction, I mean, you don't have the person or the object plus well, their possession or its possession, well, it's not possible to use whose. These are extra. If the description you're giving is related to a place, a location, then you can use where. So that is a town, place. I was born in that town, place. So that is the town where I was born. Or again, it's not bad if you say in which I was born. But again, where is an option. Then, when, if you mention time, I remember the day. What day? They graduated that day. Okay, so the day they graduated, right? So I remember the day when they graduated, right? Or on which they graduated. So this was like an extra thing that we got to cover, but that's it. We have some, we're going to try to watch that video as we did in the last class next time. And well, that's it. Okay, I believe that I got to cover everything that I really wanted to cover today, even a little bit more. This was a lesson that we covered already. That's why I did it also today, so that we can use the time we're going to have again for those extra activities. And this way, I'm going to be able to give you more feedback for your essay. We're going to talk more about the writing rules. And in the oral presentation, I'm going to give you a more detailed feedback, and we're going to get to have more conversations. All right, and that's what we want. So that's it for now. And well, remember, please, all about the due dates that we got. Remember that you have until Sunday to finish Unit 1 one more time. I reassign it. You have until Tuesday to complete Unit 3 and to take the third quiz. And you have until Thursday, well, not yet, but you are going to have until Thursday to complete Unit 4 and the final exam. That's it. I hope you have, well, a good rest of the day, which you're going to be watching this video. And well, that's it. Okay, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. No, sorry, not tomorrow. I'll see you on Monday. Enjoy your weekend.